Long before Goethe became the literary colossus whose name would dominate the German canon, he was a young man possessed by a voracious curiosity that pushed him toward the forbidden, the dangerous, and the socially unacceptable. Among the most extraordinary, and socially shocking, manifestations of this curiosity was his early fascination with human anatomy, a fascination so intense that it led him to carry out clandestine dissections of corpses. These secret experiments began in his native Frankfurt during his late teens and continued with greater intensity in Leipzig while he pursued university studies. Far from the sanitized portraits of the poet and dramatist, these early experiences reveal a Goethe driven by a desperate need to understand life. To penetrate the hidden architectures of the human body, and to confront the ultimate boundary between life and death, the corpse itself, in the mid-18th century, anatomical study was tightly regulated. Dissections were generally confined to medical faculties, performed under strict supervision, and often limited to rare cadavers provided by hospitals or through legal donations. For a youth without formal medical status, and particularly one from a respected, bourgeois family, the handling of human bodies outside official channels was not merely unorthodox, it was scandalous and potentially criminal. Yet Goethe, already known for his insatiable appetite for knowledge and experiments, was undeterred. Even in adolescence, his mind gravitated toward the fundamental mysteries of existence, the mechanics of life, the interplay of organ and tissue, and the invisible structures that gave shape and function to living beings. Anatomy, he realized, was not merely a subject for doctors, it was a lens through which the cosmos itself could be glimpsed, an entry point into the hidden symmetries and laws of nature. The young Goethe's efforts required ingenuity, courage, and discretion. In Frankfurt, he often worked in rented rooms, attics, or cellars far from prying eyes, using the dim glow of candlelight to illuminate his painstaking work. With rudimentary knives, borrowed medical instruments, and simple magnifying lenses, he dissected human bodies with both reverence and meticulous precision. Each movement, each incision, was dictated by a desire to understand rather than to shock, the scraping of metal against bone, the careful separation of muscle and tendon, the observation of the heart, lungs, and brain, all became part of a silent dialogue with the dead. Goethe approached these tasks not with detachment but with an almost spiritual awe, aware that he was peering into the mechanics of life itself, into a system that had eluded the understanding of philosophers, physicians, and artists alike. Leipzig amplified both the opportunity and the risk. The university offered access to medical lectures, libraries, and collections, but formal education still could not satisfy Goethe's relentless curiosity. He cultivated friendships with medical students and faculty who could provide access to cadavers, anatomical texts, and practical demonstrations. Yet he remained drawn to moments of solitary discovery, when the body, the tools, and his own mind were the only participants. He recorded meticulous notes on musculature, skeletal structures, the arrangement of organs, and the subtle interconnections that defined human physiology. It was in these secretive exercises that Goethe began to cultivate the observational precision that would later characterize his comparative anatomy, the same exacting attention that informed his literary depictions of the body. Movement and vitality. This period of clandestine exploration left an indelible imprint on both Goethe's scientific and artistic sensibilities. The young dissector learned to perceive structure within chaos, to recognize underlying order in what appeared random, to appreciate the unity of form across diverse biological manifestations. From these experiences arose his later search for the Urknchen, the primordial intermaxillary bone of the human skull, a discovery that corrected centuries of anatomical misunderstanding and exemplified the intersection of curiosity, observation, and deductive reasoning. One can trace the lineage of this discovery directly to the countless hours Goethe spent examining cadavers in secret. Following the contours of bone, muscle, and organ with a combination of fascination and relentless patience, moreover, these early dissections shaped Goethe's emotional and philosophical worldview. He confronted death with an immediacy few of his peers could imagine. The corpses he studied were not abstract symbols but once living bodies, reminders of mortality and the fragility of life. This intimate confrontation with death informed his later literary explorations of human aspiration, limitation, and the boundaries of knowledge. Characters such as Faust, who grapple with mortality, knowledge, and the moral consequences of transgression, carry echoes of the young Goethe hunched over corpses. Negotiating the tension between forbidden curiosity and societal constraint. He had faced the ultimate unknown, the quiet, unyielding truth of the body after life had left it, and emerged with both reverence and understanding. The practical realities of secrecy added another layer of complexity. Discovery could have meant legal consequences, social ruin, or the ruin of his family's reputation. Grave robbing and unauthorized dissections were serious offenses. Goethe's activities, if exposed, could have ended not only his youthful experiments but also his broader intellectual and social trajectory. The clandestine nature of his work demanded ingenuity, sourcing cadavers surreptitiously, concealing tools, and conducting dissections swiftly yet carefully. The risk itself likely sharpened his focus and precision, fostering a discipline of observation that combined courage with methodological rigor. As Goethe matured, the need for secrecy diminished, but the imprint of these formative experiences persisted. His scientific work, most famously in comparative anatomy, the study of the Urknchen, and investigations of developmental biology, was grounded in the habits cultivated during those hidden hours of discovery. His literary work, too, bears the imprint of this intimacy with life and death, a sensitivity to the corporeal, a fascination with the interplay between structure and vitality, and a philosophical awareness of the fragility, transience, and wonder inherent in living systems. Even in poetic and dramatic depictions, the body emerges not as a passive vessel but as an active, expressive participant in the human drama, reflecting the lessons Goethe learned firsthand from the cadavers he studied in secret. The clandestine dissections also reveal Goethe's singular integration of science and art. Where many contemporaries treated the body as a set of mechanical parts or mere anatomical specimens, Goethe perceived rhythm, proportion, and coherence, laying the groundwork for a vision of nature in which scientific observation and aesthetic sensibility converge. His ability to move seamlessly between empirical rigor and poetic imagination, the same capacity that allowed him to trace anatomical lines with a scalpel and then describe the vitality of life in verse, originated in these formative years of private, disciplined, and sometimes illicit investigation. In essence, the image of Goethe bent over a corpse in a dimly lit room, candle smoke curling around his head, hands steady on bone and tissue, captures the paradoxical essence of his genius, rigorous, fearless, and transgressive, yet suffused with wonder, sensitivity, and a deep respect for life. These secret dissections were not mere youthful rebellion, they were the crucible in which Goethe's scientific precision, artistic perception, and philosophical depth were forged. They taught him to observe with patience, think with rigor, and imagine with courage, lessons that would inform every aspect of his life's work. Through these experiences, Goethe learned that knowledge is not granted, it must be pursued, sometimes in the shadows, sometimes against convention, and always with unwavering attention. The young anatomist discovered the patterns that structure life, the delicate balance between form and function, and the moral and intellectual weight of confronting what society wished to keep hidden. These lessons remained with him, quietly informing his poetry, prose, and scientific writings, shaping a mind capable of bridging the empirical and the metaphysical, the observed and the imagined. In the end, Goethe's clandestine dissections are not simply a historical curiosity, they are a testament to the intensity, audacity, and integrity of his intellect. They reveal a young man willing to trespass the boundaries of law, custom, and comfort in the service of understanding life at its most intimate levels, a man whose genius demanded nothing less than a full confrontation with the hidden truths of existence, mortality, and the enduring mysteries of the human body. They show that genius, in its most authentic form, is often forged in solitude, secrecy, and the quiet, relentless pursuit of knowledge where few dare to look.